Welcome to the BXG podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded as seamlessly as La Gang Ma and La Familia. I am one of your hosts, Brenton Bessick, alongside my co-host, as always, often imitated, never duplicated, Greg Filson. How are you tonight, Greg?
I'm doing pretty well. Good day today. Nice run in. Yeah, it's just a pretty chill day, so not a lot to report on my end. Another busy week, but I'm excited to do the pod. Got some good stuff today. Mostly, I think we're both gonna freak out at a couple of things. I think that'll be our biggest thing.
Probably. I mean, I don't know what you're freaking out about, so that's fun. I told you beforehand what I was freaking out about. So, we'll see. But anyway, let's see, housekeeping. Well, first of all, number one on the housekeeping is, as of next week, we're going to record on Wednesdays, which is a day later. And to counteract that, to give me a little bit of time, extra time to edit, we'll probably release, I'm thinking about noon on Fridays instead of 7. So that'll give me a little bit of extra time in the morning. Plus, my day job is going back to the office in a month. Thursdays are looking like they're probably going to be my long day. And that'll just give me, like I said, just a little bit of extra time to make sure that things are turning out the way that I would like them to. So We'll do that. So that's a piece of housekeeping. Otherwise, BXG Podcast publishes, as of now, every Friday at 7 a.m. on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and other podcast services. The last week's went up a little bit late, but that was because I made an error and then I was driving for 10 straight hours and I didn't have the ability to fix it.
That's not good.
But it got up. It got up eventually. Official BXG social media accounts, Facebook.com/BXG Podcast, Instagram at BXG Podcast, at GTFills at Y2B, Twitter at BXG Podcast, YouTube.com BXG Podcast. For videos, there were no videos last week due to some technical difficulties. Social media scoreboard, JJ Kish 13, Jared L 3, EJC. Gotta make a change there. That's a clarification and correction. 1, Anthony W3, David S from Garden City 2, Aaron H1. On the clarifications and corrections side of things, we had Lucasfilm. For some reason, I said $50 billion is what Disney bought it for, which is just insanity. I don't know where that.
It happens.
I don't know where that money, that number came out of my brain, but it was actually $4 billion, and then the 5 feature Star Wars Disney films that have released since have made 1.8 billion in pure profit, which is not to speak of the toys, the licensing agreements, and then obviously The Mandalorian being the driving force behind the first year of Disney Plus subscription. So it's easy to say that they have recouped that money. I mean, $4 billion for Disney is like a drop in the bucket. Yeah. So before we get into the six pack, which I think is a good one this week, we noted that we had to make the change on the media scoreboard to EJC from EJT, which is because, as you mentioned last week, our friend EJ got married, and I was able to make the trip to North Carolina. And I have a couple of fun vacation stories, none of which really have anything to do with the wedding. The wedding was fine. It was great. It was outdoors. The weather cooperated, which was nice. The venue was really nice. The food was good. The company was good. I met some nice people who were very funny. So shout out to those people that EJ sat my wife and I with, because they were hilarious. Felt like we could have been friends with them. You know what I mean? That sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the best feeling in the world.
It really is, yeah. Now, I will say that there were some awkward moments, like before we got seated and everything. We were just kind of hanging out, and I actually texted you that I could really use you right now, because you are the ultimate wedding icebreaker.
That's what I do.
Oh, as I said, often imitated, never duplicated. And I'm looking at you, mustache guy in the blue suit. I'm looking right at you. But I have 3 stories. None of them have anything to do really directly with the wedding. 2 of them are really funny, and then one's going to make you like lose your crap. So whichever way you want to tackle.
Let's go. Let's end with the one that'll make me lose my crap.
Okay. We can do that. So the first one, we went to the beach. We went to Wrightsville Beach and Carolina Beach on back-to-back days. I mean, as is well documented, I'm not a big fan of the ocean in the seven seas, as it were. I did spend a little bit of time, riding the waves, that
Sure.
sort of thing. The riptide was bad. I was getting dragged all over the place. There was a woman who looked like Moana's grandma, and she was like down on her hands and knees, like not like as the waves are just kind of trickling over her. She was like a good 20 feet out into it
All right.
on her hands and knees, and she was just taking these waves straight to the face. Like, I know, like, when you're in the ocean and you know, there's the waves and you want to, like, jump through them or ride them or, like, jump into them. But she was just on her hands and knees, just getting rocked.
Didn't care.
And she had to be in her 70s. I thought she was suicidal because then, like, the family sent the kids out and they, like, dragged her back onto the beach and started burying her in the sand.
Oh my god.
And I was just looking at her and I'm like, what are you doing? She was very clearly Latina, like Hispanic or, Latin, whatever. And the whole family spoke Spanish. And she's just taking these waves to the face. And I'm like, Abuela, por favor. Aquí. And so eventually, like, we're getting ready to leave, and they just like have her up at their canopy, and she's like in one of those like FEMA survivor blankets, you know what I mean? Just like shaking and everything. It was a very strange
It
situation.
seems startling.
Yeah, I was very concerned for this woman's safety. The lifeguards didn't seem to care, so I guess they knew what was going on. She was just maybe filming like a hair care product ad. I don't know, but she was just taking these waves like a champ.
Wow.
Like straight to the grill. That's number one. Number two, as the evening gathers, we decided we were going to go to like a miniature golf course.
Nice.
Because that's something that they have at most beaches, I feel like, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Miniature
like
golf courses at
East
most
Coast,
beaches.
East Coast beaches. West Coast
Right.
is different, but East Coast there's definitely miniature golf courses literally everywhere.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, so you would think, but there wasn't
What?
there. There was one. We found one. It was called Glow Golf. It was a glow in the dark mini golf course that was in a strip mall. So that was weird. So we went to it, and the mall closed at 8, and it was like 5:45 when we got there, and we like went to a few of the stores or whatever. I got a new hat, new Panthers hat, a couple other things, walking around, whatever. So we get there, and there's a group of people in front of us, and this place was like the size of like a half-court basketball gym. Okay, that's all the bigger it was. It wasn't very big, and I don't know if they had 9 or 18. I think it was only 9, right?
Yeah.
It was just glow in the dark. It was just like hole one is just like a slope up the hill. There wasn't any like windmills or anything like that. No cool pirate things or any of the like that you would typically expect from a beach
Right.
mini golf course, right? So there's none of that. So there was like this family or something in front of us, and the first woman turns around and she says, very thick Southern accent, so thick, crawdads and grits thick, right?
I love it.
She says, so they close at 8. I'm like, okay. Check my watch. I'm like, okay, it's 5 after 7. I'm confident that I can play 9. This isn't exactly fucking Augusta, I said, I think we'll be okay. It's only 5 after 7. She said, well, they closed up there sometime before that 7:30 today, y'all. And Melissa and I looked at each other like, and then a second woman wearing a mask, so that didn't help, chimes in and said a full paragraph full of words. And I don't understand, to this moment, don't know what anything she said was other than the word Groupon.
It's probably better that way.
And I looked and I wanted to say, like, what the fuck did you just say? But not in like an aggressive manner. Like I
Right.
felt like she was threatening me, but in like actually like, what the fuck did you actually say? Because I don't understand anything that you just said.
Right.
And here's the bad part was they were clearly the alpha in that situation, because Melissa and I just looked at each other and we're like, okay, I guess they closed at 8 and they locked things up. I guess we don't get to play. And we just left. So
you didn't play a single hole?
not a single hole. And because we got scared off by people who might as well have been speaking Mandarin.
I like to think they didn't even work there.
They didn't. They were patrons.
That makes the story so much better.
Like, the guy who was actually working was not paying any attention to
Right.
this interaction between us and these people. Like, he was trying to figure out their Groupon. Again, that was like the only word that I understood.
Right.
And she said, I swear to you, she spoke for a full 15 seconds and I didn't understand a single goddamn word she said.
That's really funny.
And we were just like, okay, I guess we're done now.
Oh my
So that's number 2. Number 3, are you ready?
I mean, you gave me pictures of where
I prefaced you.
Yeah. So like I was gonna call you, but then you sent me those pictures, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna wait
Yes.
because all about content.
The wedding took place in Durham, which is, of course, home to the Duke Blue Devils college basketball team and other sports. But
Durham Bulls.
Durham Bulls. And 8 miles down the road is Chapel Hill, where UNC plays, obviously, big rivalry. So we got there ahead of time. We got there ahead of time, and I said, could we go check out, see if we can get up close to Cameron Indoor. So we got there, and I'm going to tell you, have you ever been on
No, I
Duke's
haven't.
campus? It just slaps of pretension.
I hope so.
It's just, you could just feel the pretentiousness in the air.
It better. I mean, honestly, like, as someone that roots for North Carolina, it'd be weird if it didn't. I mean, that's
Right.
like, if it seemed like everybody was welcome there, then I would actually like hate them more. I would be like, no, you want to be that pretentious school that you're perceived and why people hate you. And
100% it was.
Good.
100% it was.
love it.
So that was fun. Like, Cameron Indoor just looks like any other building.
Sure.
Like, you wouldn't know that it's a basketball arena at all. I mean, it's tiny.
Yeah, it's super small. It doesn't hold that many people.
Yeah.
That's why they have such a home court advantage.
Right. So we did that. So then we're looking at the clock and I'm like, okay, it's like a 10-minute drive over to UNC. So we go over, we're walking up to the Dean Dome, which looks like a college basketball arena. Okay. So we're walking up, I hear voices, I look over, Melissa looks over, she looks at me. There's fucking Kenny Smith
Nice.
giving a tour to some kids.
That's awesome.
And that's how I've said it ever since. Like, every time I've told the story to anybody, I'm like, there's fucking Kenny Smith. You have to say fucking Kenny Smith
Yeah.
when it's that type of situation where it's like,
What?
And then he was on TNT that night too for
man,
the playoffs. So, and he like gave us like the what's up nod because he could tell we were like staring at them. I was like, Melissa tried to get me to get a picture. I was so flustered.
Sure.
Because like I never expect to like see anyone famous anywhere.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, even when we saw like Trent Reznor at the park for the dog park opening in Mercer that he donated all the money for, I was like flustered. But to see Kenny Smith just like in the wild, like giving a tour, he's like, yeah, this is the Dean. I'm like listening. I'm like, yeah, this is the Dean Dome over here. I'm just like, it's fucking Kenny Smith.
It's so amazing. It's funny to me too because it's like I was not expecting Kenny Smith at all. I don't know who I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting Kenny Smith to pop up in this conversation. I'm a fan.
Right. Yeah. I just, it was like so like, it was so bizarre. But
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was cool and it was fun, and like I said, the wedding was a great time, and our friend EJ's husband's a really cool dude. It was the first time I'd ever met him.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the greatest circumstances to meet somebody and like actually have a conversation with him, but he's like an excellent seeming guy. So
Agreed.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was nice to get away. A lot of driving.
That's a ton of driving. Yeah.
It was a lot of driving. But other than that, we do have a great six-pack tonight. A lot of topics, a lot of news to wrap up. Plus, we're going to be introducing our segment that is going to take place across the summer here with our last topic, but we will do that when we get into it. And we lead, as always, with number 1, the Bad Batch review episode. Number 5, Rampage. Clone Force 99 needs to find a way to get some information on the bounty hunter that we know as Fennec Shand off their tail. They make for the planet Ord Mantell and meet with Sid, an information broker who had dealings with the Jedi before their demise. Sid promises credits and information if the batch can track down an adolescent rancor named Moochie. We get a glimpse of Moochie tearing things up while the batch takes on the slave traders who imprisoned the Beast. Wrecker beats the Beast in a one-on-one duel to gain alpha status. just like those hillbillies. After the rest of the crew dispatches the slavers, they return to Sid and hand over the beast to none other than Jabba the Hutt's chief gopher, Bib Fortuna, and receive the payment they were promised. The new mystery is who hired Fennec Shand in the first place, and we're left with that thread to pull on for the next episode. Bib Fortuna popping up in anything.
That was amazing for me. I loved it.
Yes. I knew it was him. Like, from the jump. Mm-hmm. I knew it was Bib Fortuna because, like, there's just, like, a cadence to the way that character talks.
Right.
Even though they didn't show him, they just, sort of, like, showed him on the holovid from, like, the waist up. I was like, that's Bib Fortuna.
So cool. And so we got some Jabba action. This, like, to me, this episode... And we're not halfway through this season, but this felt like, it felt like the good Star Wars movies, the very middle portion of any of those movies now, where you're getting, like, you're getting some, like, oh, here comes, like, the big bad, but you're not getting everything. And there was a lot, to me, I think this episode was, without the credits, was like 20 minutes. It, like,
it was shorter.
Really flew by. But a lot happened in just those 20 minutes, like, Fennec Shand, we get, this Rancor thing just cleaning house, which was fun. Like, him just going around, and then, we find out, okay, Jabba the Hutt, awesome. So, I think this was, like, one of those episodes where they kind of knew, like, since we're going to get Bib Fortuna in here, let's get to him quicker rather than later and get people excited. Because this was one of those episodes, like, every episode is they get captured. They figure out a way.
It seems that way,
and, which is fine because it is, at the end of the day, it still is a cartoon. So you have to have that kind of element. Like Scooby-Doo is always the same thing. Who's the guy in the mask?
Sure.
And this
I was
is what
thinking
happened.
that exact same thing, actually, yeah.
And so it's like, that's fine, and I don't mind that because I have to put myself in that mindset. And even the Star Wars movies are kind of like that. I mean, even the best ones are, something happens, how do they get out? I mean, it's just a different scale. And this one was just, I think this one was so far of that idea of, like, they're captured, how do they get out, was, I think, the most, it just sounds weird, the most Star Wars-esque, because it was like, this big bad thing comes around, it's like, oh, it's a Rancor, this, and they thought it was someone else, they thought it was just the little green guy.
The little girl,
the green girl, and they thought, and then it's like, no, it's this huge thing just wrecking house that you gotta tame down. So I thought that was kind of cool, and then the fact that, there had to be the alpha. Wrecker had to become the alpha, and they had the fight was really funny to me because they're just barely taking swings at each other at the end. Yeah. So it was just like that good, not in that way that, like, Star Wars does the thing where it's funny without just smacking you in the face being funny, like the good ways they do that. So that's what I liked about it. Omega, her little having the transmitter thing and her playing around with that, like I thought for a second, I'm like, oh, they're probably gonna play into this too much. They didn't, so I like that. I thought this one was actually just a really good middle episode, as if I was looking at a middle of a movie, or even a middle movie of this series. It was just like that kind of playing into all those little things that I like about Star Wars.
I think that this episode was personally exciting for me because of the planet that they went to. Gets a lot of screen time in terms of it's talked about a lot, Ord Mantell. And one of the things, and this is just a crazy coincidence, and I'll get to this in my media recommendations, but I bought a graphic novel from a comic book shop down in Wilmington, and it was a Darth Maul story arc. It's a 4-comic. It's Darth Maul, son of Dothamir, and they go onto this planet, and, like, that's where, like, Darth Maul, after he gets resurrected, he, like, forms this crime syndicate army called the Shadow Collective, and this is the planet that they kind of operate on. So for them to kind of go there makes me wonder if we're going to find out that the person who hired Fennec Shand was Darth Maul, and he gets introduced into the series, which would be great. He's been in a lot of, like, Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, so it would fit the motif as far as kind of sliding into this show as well. So that was really cool. Obviously, the Bib Fortuna thing was amazing. I actually took the time to look up whether or not Moochie was the Rancor that Luke takes down in Return of the Jedi. It is not. Some theorize that is the mother or father of that Rancor, whose name is like Patissa or something like that. I should have written it down. But yeah, I mean, and then, like, the pig guards, obviously, that are always with Bib, and in Jabba's palace and everything like that. Yeah, I mean, this episode was like, I'm kind of getting over my original feelings of episode 2 being too soon for the whole we've got to get her out of here, this isn't a place for a child arc, because it just seems like now that she's becoming more and more part of the team, so to speak. Mm-hmm. She got her little bow and arrow thing in this episode. She picked it up. I'm sure that's going to play a role down the line. I would like if they gave us a little bit more exposition about what Crosshair's up to. I know they did in a previous episode. I feel like I wish that they would work that in a little bit more rather than just, every third episode or something like that, where they kind of focus on his story. I wish they'd give us a little bit more, but at the same time, it's like you said, it was like 20 minutes long. So how do you really give that type of exposition with also making a coherent story for the actual main characters? So,
and plus this is 14 episodes too, so there's going to be probably an episode that is probably primarily focusing on that too.
Sure.
Down the road. This was just to kind of play into the Star Wars fans of our age, I think, more than anything. Sure. I think that was kind of the thing.
I think that this episode hit the, kind of like you said, hit the sweet spot between character development, humor, and the action, which was pretty good. I still, Wrecker is like nails on a chalkboard to me. He's just like, boo! He's just this big, dumb whatever, and it served its purpose in this episode specifically because he's fighting an adolescent rancor, but most of the time he just grates on me. I wish we got. I don't know. I just don't. I guess I don't like that character. I mean, the character is necessary. The character archetype, they have to have one in this group.
Sure.
But he just annoys me, I guess. But other than that, I think that they really hit the sweet spot in this episode. I think this was probably, outside of the first one, which was 70 minutes long, and basically its own intro movie, I think that this was probably the best episode.
Yeah, I think this was actually just my favorite episode, even the first one aside, because it just, to me, it just hit all the notes without trying too hard, which is what I want from any Star Wars content, but especially something like this. So yeah, I definitely like where we're going with it. If this is it's trending upward too. I feel like the first episode was really good and it kind of slipped a little, but now it seems like it's gradually getting better each episode.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, in news I wasn't expecting, but kind of was. John Cena versus China versus the world. Wrestler turned actor, Laugon, my chili sauce connoisseur, John Cena found himself in water in the past weeks. The Fast 9 star stated in an interview with a Taiwanese TV network that he was excited Taiwan would be the first country to see Fast 9 in theaters. Most countries do not recognize Taiwan as a country, despite it having its own elected officials, army, and government. Beijing claims the tiny island is part of its territory, and as such, were not happy with Cena over his remarks. Cena posted a video in which he states in perfect Mandarin that he loves China and Chinese people, and in one of the many interviews he did for the Fast 9, he made a mistake. He did not directly say what the mistake was or acknowledge Taiwan in his statement. The U.S. has no official relationship with Taiwan, and with China being the second largest market for the film, it was likely a parent company, Universal, pressed Cena to make the vague apology. Fast 9 debuted in theaters this past weekend to predictably lukewarm critical reception.
So he posted this to the social media app Weibo.
Yeah.
Which is the Twitter of China.
Yes.
This whole thing is just so weird to me. Mm-hmm. Because, number one, why does he speak Mandarin so well? That's the first thing that I don't understand. I don't understand why John Cena, you can't see me, speaks perfect Mandarin. Or at least seemingly perfect Mandarin. I wouldn't know. He could be speaking gibberish, but he's selling it well, right?
He sells it very well. He's an actor.
But that whole thing and political stuff aside, it's just he's kind of a bonehead for this.
Oh, yeah.
I think you just chalk it up to you don't say anything. Just don't even say anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just it's obviously he's just saying, can't wait for Taiwan, the people of Taiwan to see this movie. We think it's going to be great. Can't wait for the rest of, Korea, China, Japan, whatever, to see the movie. Just don't say anything. And that's the thing where I think that he kind of got in trouble with, because people are coming at him and saying, you're placating to this sort of totalitarian regime that's going on over there. Why are you doing that? Just don't say anything. I don't think that I don't think a state of emergency national crisis is going to occur over John Cena flubbing his words.
I think this is one of those, to quote the great Mark Twain, it's better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you are a fool than to open it and remove all doubt. It's just
yes.
Go ahead. And it's weird to me because it's like, he's a very famous person, and like the extent of what's his PR doing. I mean, that's like actually my thing is like, he may not be like this sharpest knife in the drawer, but like that's literally why you hire people to be your press relations people, is so this kind of thing just does not even come. And people make flubs all the time, and I like 100% get this, but this is such a like crazy flub that can really destroy things. I mean, when you think about like with the NBA, with China and all this stuff, like there's just this weird thing where like,
right,
it's baffling just because like you said, he spoke what seemed to be just perfect Mandarin, and then just it explodes on him, and then his apology was just like a whatever thing, and it wasn't handled well from beginning to end, and
that's the thing is like the NBA thing was a very targeted. Daryl Morey, who was at the time the GM of the Rockets, now the Sixers, like protesting, using his platform to make a protest, to say something controversial or supportive of what's going on or whatever. John Cena did 30 interviews and he just screwed up.
Yep. It's really
and I don't understand like the urgency. Well, I do understand the urgency. They have the second largest film market, and they've been going to the movies, as we saw with Godzilla vs. Kong.
Right.
They're going to the movies. You don't want to say anything that's going to jeopardize the payday, basically.
Yeah.
So that's why he apologized. I'm under the assumption that it was probably people made him apologize. He was intentionally vague and everything, but
it's just
the only reason I put this in here was because last week was the
right.
The chili sauce thing,
right,
on Clip of the Week. It was literally the only other reason that this made it into the six pack. It probably wouldn't even touch quick hitters, honestly, if that damn chili sauce commercial hadn't been Clip of the Week last week.
It is funny.
Well, it wasn't even a commercial. It was just him saying how much he loves it in his trailer.
Right. Yeah. It is funny that it went back to back. That is crazy. That is weird.
Yeah. It is weird. In other weird news, number 3, Jake Paul gets his next match in not friend of the program news, YouTube personality turned professional boxer. Jake Paul, professional boxer?
He gets paid to box.
Okay.
So
technically he's a professional boxer. Jake Paul has lined up his next match. Paul will face former UFC champ Tyron Woodley August 28th on Showtime. Pay-per-view. The match will be contested at 190 pounds with 10-ounce gloves. Paul, 24, is 3-0 as a professional boxer after knocking out former UFC fighter Ben Askren on April 17th. Woodley, 39, has never boxed professionally and has an MMA record of 19-7-1, including losses in his last 4 fights. Paul said in a statement via ESPN, "I have a list of people I plan on shutting up with my fists. And as I enter my 4th pro fight, I'm excited to knock the first one off the list by challenging myself against a 5-time UFC champion known for his knockout power. Tyron's a seasoned striker who has fought the best in the world. I certainly respect his career, but I will be sending Tyron to a permanent CSA on August 28th." End quote. Woodley wrote on Twitter, "You are already scared shitless. I don't have to slap you, but the moment I walk away after I knock you out, the world will rejoice." End quote. Logan Paul, his brother, will face Floyd Mayweather in an exhibition match this weekend. Mayweather is 50-0 in his career, and this match will not help or hurt his career record, just boost his bank account.
So I put this in here because can someone please just beat the hell out of them? That's all I want. I know Floyd won't beat the hell out of Logan Paul, but because that's not his style. He'll just dance and he won't get hit and he'll win. Yeah. But please.
Oh, I think he'll knock him out. I think the fight will be stopped. I think it'll be like
a TKO.
McGregor.
It'll be a TKO.
Yeah, it'll be like McGregor.
I hope so. I hope
they'll
it's
stop
something.
the fight.
I hope
because
so.
he's not going to be able to. He's not going to be able to contend. Even how old's Floyd? Like 40 something.
He's got to be close to.
No,
50.
he's not. He's not 50.
He's got to be close to it. I would think. I don't know. Either way, he's got it. Like he's probably like 43. I'm guessing, but either way, he's still like you can't touch him.
He's 44.
Okay,
he just turned 44 this year.
Flies can't touch Floyd Mayweather. I mean, it's just the way it is.
He's so fast. He's fast asleep.
There you go. Yeah, it's exactly. But this is the reason why I put this in here is because like the news happened and we have the fight this weekend. We found out. I just want them to go down. I really want someone that's actually a professional boxer that's like in their prime. Canelo Alvarez needs to be
that's what I was gonna say. It's not like Canelo's gonna fight.
Let's get in here and I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, so you can shut up and we don't have to see your stupid faces ever again. He could beat them both by himself. It's just like it's just insane to me. And they walk around thinking like they're just the best ever, and it's like you guys are nothing. I'm so tired of it. And I understand, like, when you're a boxer, and they are taking, I will say, because they know what they're doing in the sense that they're YouTuber personalities. They know how to be personalities, and I get that. But I hated them way before they were boxing professionals. Just themselves as YouTube personalities annoy the hell out of me, and I guess I just, I need these professional boxers to do it for me. Because I'm not going to say I can, like, I can't beat them up. They're much stronger than I am. I am not, that is not my thing. I understand this, but professional boxers are much stronger than them. Actual professional boxers could beat that. Just drives me nuts.
So they're going to fight at 190. What's, at least that's who Jake Paul's going to fight at 190. What's Logan and Mayweather fighting at?
It's whatever it's going to be. It's an exhibition match, so it might not even have an actual, weight, but either way, Paul's gonna weigh in. He's gonna weigh in at the correct weight, but he'll boost his weight up.
180.
Okay, so he's gonna supposedly what I've
read. He can't weigh more than 190 for the fight against
Mayweather. But he'll get up all the way to 190.
So just for like size matters in the boxing ring. Like there's a reason why Floyd Mayweather, if he fought like Tyson Fury, for example, like. He'd dance around and whatever, but if Fury caught him once, it's game over. He'd probably kill him. You know what I mean? Because Floyd's a little dude. Yeah. Right? So size matters. And just because I'm looking it up, right? Canelo weighs 168.
Yeah.
Triple G weighs 159.
Yeah.
Either one of these guys. I'll tell you what, you know what I'd like to see? Let's get Mickey Ward out of retirement. The fighter.
Yes. That is, I mean, Triple G though, Triple G's known to have like one of the hardest pound for pound like punches ever. Yeah. So like he connects once, even at 22 pounds, less. Lighter. He would just he would still beat the hell out of him. That's just one of those things. It's like he's an older guy now too, Triple G. Yeah. But I mean, that's what we need. It would make so much money if Canelo Alvarez said, let's do this. It would
make money, but I guess my thing too is like, as you've said it at times, that corruption is rampant in boxing and everything like that. I don't want real fighters to give these guys the time of day. Like, respect the sport. You know what I mean?
And I get that. I guess my thing would just be like, boxing itself isn't respecting itself anymore by letting this kind of garbage happen.
Yeah, sure.
And so to like stop it is to have Canelo Alvarez go in there and just beat the absolute fuck out of him. I mean, I think that's what needs to happen. And so people like this don't think they can contend. Just have Canelo Alvarez still in his prime, and personally my favorite current boxer, just go in there and just light him up. Because, because he's not going to, corruption and stuff aside, he's not going to have Alvarez Paul 2, in freaking South Africa. That's not going to happen. This is going to be one match, lights out, first round, you're done. Yeah. Get out of my ring.
Canelo could not train and show up and beat him and knock him out in the first round.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, if I'm around a TV and I have the ability to watch Mayweather and this Joker, I will. I mean, if I
work Sunday or I would, yeah.
Is it Sunday? It's Sunday night.
Yeah.
You know what time? Do you know what time it is?
I mean, I think it'll probably be around 10 o'clock Eastern,
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
That's usually when the main events are.
We've said this. We don't talk about sports a lot. Oddly enough, when we do talk about sports, it seems like we talk boxing more than anything else. But
It is the purest.
I don't
of sports.
like Floyd, pound for pound, blah blah blah, this and that. He's not fun to watch.
No.
You know what I mean? I know, and like you said, Canelo and everything. My favorite's Tyson Fury.
Sure.
I just love the big guys. You know what I mean? Like I just want two bangers just pounding on each other. And so I'm looking forward to Fury Wilder 3. I'm a little bummed though
So pumped for that.
Yeah, but now it seems like because there's like a mandate on time defenses or whatever that Joshua will have to beat whoever to be able to fight the winner to unify all the titles.
Right.
And that's what needs to happen, especially at heavyweight. The titles need to be unified. There just needs to be the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There can't be any, in my opinion, you can't have any wavering. It needs to just be, this is the guy. Which is kind of Fury because he's the lineal champion, so he's the guy that beat the guy that beat the guy.
Yeah.
But there's all these belts,
Right.
But I digress. And yeah, I'd love to see a real fighter just beat the bricks off of one of these clowns.
That's really just why I put it in here, because I just want this to happen. And if Canelo Alvarez is listening and wants to talk, let's get him on here.
I've never been more confident that someone's not listening.
So
Canelo
like he'll
Alvarez.
DM us tomorrow and be like, "Hey, I love you guys. Big challenge fan."
Number 4.
So gaming news roundup. We got a good one for this the week in the gaming news. Horizon Forbidden West got a state of play gameplay reveal. The PlayStation exclusive looks to be shaping up nicely. However, no release date was given.
I didn't actually watch this because when I know I'm going to get a game, I'm basically on media blackout. I don't want to know anything about it. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to see anything. I haven't seen anything about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart since the very first teaser trailer that was 10 seconds long. I just stay away from stuff. I'm a little bit sketched out by no release date because I was certain that this was going to hit 2021. But with COVID, I'm not surprised. Wouldn't be surprised if they bumped this to 2022 early Q1. It'll be 5 years February since the original came out, so they could do something with that. But I mean, it's going to be a great game regardless.
Yes. True. And Far Cry 6 was shown for the first time, with the game's primary antagonist played by Giancarlo Esposito front and center. Yes. The game's director, Navid Kavari, has said the story, which takes place on a fictional island in the let's see, how do I want to say it on this one? I'm going to go with the Caribbean. While political in the sense of a modern revolution, is not a direct one-to-one comparison of Cuba.
Yeah, political stuff aside, I played Far Cry 3 last year. I'd never played a Far Cry game before. I can't wait for this, especially Giancarlo Esposito being the primary antagonist.
It's awesome.
I'm sure he's going to be just menacing as hell because that's what he does and everything that he's in. I'm really looking forward to this game. It's going to be a day one for me.
How do you pronounce? I pronounce Caribbean and Caribbean differently depending on the circumstances. If it's scary, I say Caribbean. If it sounds like fun, I say Caribbean. Just a little fun thing.
I think there's actually a way to differentiate.
Because like Pirates of the Caribbean, ooh, scary
Right.
pirates. But like, ooh, I'm going to the Caribbean, gonna have a little, whatever party week.
As weird as this sounds, and I'll put it in the. I'll do a little bit of homework. I'll put it in the clarifications for next week.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure when you're referring to the region, it's the Caribbean. But when you're talking about the sea, it's the Caribbean Sea.
Ooh.
I just feel like I heard that one time.
I'll say that no matter what, I'll still stick by the way I do it.
It's fair.
Going forward. Just because it's just for me, it's literally the way I've been doing it since the Pirates of the Caribbean came out. I was like, ooh, I like this, a little menacing. That's how I'm going to do it. Anytime I'm thinking menacing. Whatever,
Sure.
Is the Bermuda Triangle still a thing? Just as a, do people, you don't feel like you hear stories about it anymore. If you've been in the Bermuda Triangle, DM us, let us know. We'll get you on the show.
Good.
Microsoft and new acquisition Bethesda have reported they will give a joint press conference at E3, which will take place in the coming weeks.
Wah. E3 is like a whatever at this point.
Remember when it was
Sony's not
so
there.
cool? It was so cool.
Yeah.
Like, not that long
It used to be
ago.
awesome. Yeah.
But it just...
Yeah, within like just the last 4 or 5 years. But I think that COVID and all of the like digital or like streaming quote unquote conferences have shown that E3 is just obsolete, not necessary, any of that. Microsoft is the only one of the big three that's even there. Sony's not there and Nintendo's not there. Everything else is smaller by publisher. So
That's crazy.
when it happens, we will do an E3 roundup.
Yeah.
We will talk about all those things. Because the other thing is Nintendo always does a direct right around E3. I guarantee Sony will do a state of play at some point around E3. It's just how it works. EA does their own thing. Whatever.
Oh, and here we go. Just in case, people are missing it for a little while. CD Projekt Red's net profits are down 65% in quarter one due to the needed fixes into none other than friend of the show, Cyberpunk 2077.
Friend of the show. Yeah, there's not much to say here. It's
No,
just,
it just is what it is.
that garbage fire continues to rage.
Just like throwing gasoline on it at this point. Battlefield 6 will be shown for the first time on June 9th, 3 days before the start of E3.
Yeah, that's an EA thing. So
Yeah.
Battlefield's an EA game, so they'll show. They'll have those spurs their thing. I'm not a big Battlefield guy as far as shooters go. If you held a gun in my head, no pun intended, and made me play a first-person shooter, it would be Call of Duty. But I know a lot of people love Battlefield. Battlefield is also it's the same engine that runs the Star Wars Battlefront games. It's the Frostbite engine, so those games are fun. I don't mind them.
They're really, really creative with their names.
Number 5. Number 5, the BXG movie news wrap up for the movie news you need to know. The biggest movie news of all this week comes via IGN, who reports that Regal Cinemas, AMC theaters, and Cinemark theaters will not require fully vaccinated, I got it right, customers to wear masks unless state or local mandates require them. So,
I mean, that's just where we're heading. I was talking about this actually earlier today. It's like the whole point of us doing all this, getting vaccinated or
vaccinated,
is so things could, get back to normal.
Right.
I'm not scared by this anymore. I still work in both my places where we wear masks, of course, and in June 15th, the switch will be flipped here in California, and we'll see what happens with it. But I got my baby oil shot for a reason, so I can go to a Dodger game and enjoy it at 50,000, and that's have a Dodger dog, and not think about things like that. So I'm not surprised by this kind of stuff. I think movie theaters might be the weirdest thing for me personally, just because they are so enclosed. Other than maybe flying, but that's also just kind of weird. But either way, I think once the time comes, and I feel pretty fine now with things, I think getting back to the norm, if people think it's safe, and I think it's safe probably at this point, then let's get back to as normal as we can.
Yeah, I would say that when we were in North Carolina, we were inside, a few places, mostly outside, but I think that probably around a third, if even that many. Mm-hmm. Now, that is also the Confederacy.
Sure.
So that probably plays into it at least a little bit. The attitudes are just different than, I would say, in California and Pennsylvania overall. Some of the more red states have a different viewpoint on these things. Sure. But by the same token, I never felt nervous about anything. Sure. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and we brought our habits with us, where it was like, okay, we're going inside, we have to wear masks, even though we're still both vaccinated or vaccinated. Sure. That dissipated as the weekend went on. It was like, fine, who cares? We got these, like you said, we got them for a reason, so. So by the time we left, I didn't even know where my mask was. It was in a bag packed somewhere. But let's see here. IGN also reports that there's a plan for merging the Sony Spider-Man universe with the MCU. Speaking with Variety, Sony exec Sanford Panitch confirmed that many of these plans will become clearer after No Way Home debuts.
I hope it happens. I hope this is what we all want. So I'm guessing that this is.
Is it?
I
don't want this.
You don't.
Honestly, I would be perfectly happy with no Garfield and no Toby.
Oh, I thought you meant I just meant that the MCU just has full rights as Spider-Man, and it's not more of this oh, is it wishy-washy? I don't care about having those movies in there, but I just meant there's none of the wishy-washy it's a struggle to get Spider-Man MCU. We're talking about this back and forth.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. That's what I mean. Having the older movies, whatever to me, but I just mean going forward. I hope it's just not so much of a talking point. And when Spider-Man is one of the key characters in the actual Marvel universe, comic book wise, and it's we have to ask questions and get other people involved to have him part of the Avengers, which he is actually a part of. This is weird to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm probably one of the few people who does not want a live action Spider-Verse movie. I don't want that.
I don't want that.
That's what we're getting.
I just don't want that. I just want this. That's where I'm at. I just want this not be a talking point of the actual Spider-Man movies, but we don't need a Spider-Verse movie. The live action one, we got the best one. Right. It happened.
Yeah.
Why? Quit doing this. Damn it, Disney. You give me so many great things, but then you do things like this. And it just drives me nuts. I don't need
I think
everything.
It'll be cool. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I just think that they could do something more interesting and better. They're leaning hard into the multiverse thing, which...
Yeah.
Number C under the movie news. Wrap up another Tom Holland movie news. We get a new glimpse of the Uncharted movie set to debut in 2022 of Tom Holland as Nathan Drake holding a flashlight in a museum-ish setting, while a very non-mustached Victor Sullivan, played by Mark Wahlberg, looks on.
This is more of your thoughts than my thoughts. I'll just let you go here.
Fuck this. This is going to be terrible.
It's not going to be good. It's
going to be terrible. There's no...
I think this is the thing, too. We talk about, appeasing to the fans of something and then appeasing to the everyday crowd. This will do neither. And it's just going to make people like you angry. And then people that don't play the game and have no... And I played the games, and so I understand, some of this, but it's just, I am not into it as much as you are. And it's but then it's just for anyone that hasn't played the games that maybe was considering, but is this what the game is?
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks. That seems dumb.
Well, here's what it's going to be: is the people who like the games are going to hate it, and this is all conjecture off of literally one screenshot, right? But the people who play the games are going to hate it. They're going to hate it. Why doesn't Sully have a mustache? That's part of that's like saying, why doesn't Mickey Mouse have ears? That's the same thing. It's Sully's stash is what almost a defining feature. Sully wearing ridiculous Hawaiian shirts and having a mustache is what makes Sully, and smoking cigars is what makes Sully Sully. None of those things are present in this photo. There's no Hawaiian shirt, there's no cigars, and there's certainly no mustache, which makes no sense. Mark Wahlberg looks more like Nathan Drake than Tom Holland does.
That's actually what I was going to say.
That's 100% fact.
Mark Wahlberg should have been Nathan Drake if these were the actors involved. Come on.
They're they say, oh well, this is a prequel. That's why it's Tom Holland. He's a young Nathan Drake. We already got prequel footage in Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 4. Guess what? Number 1, Sully has a stash. That's number 1. Number 2, he doesn't look like Tom Holland when he's younger either. It's not going to be good. And the people who are what's this? Maybe I'll go see this. Oh, it's made from a video game. Why didn't they just make an Indiana Jones movie? That's 100% what the attitude is going to be. This is going to be dog shit. 100%. 100% dog shit. And it's really frustrating because I love Uncharted. But I never wanted it to be a movie. And I think that, unfortunately, this is going to give people trepidation towards the Last of Us HBO series, which I think will be excellent because they're doing it as a show instead of... We've talked about this. The first game you can play in 13 hours. They do a 10-episode season, cut out a little bit of the fat. It's basically the first game. Plot point for plot point. It's going to be good. It's HBO. They're going to do it right.
Right.
Versus trying to take a game like Uncharted, which takes 15 to 18 hours to beat, and trying to cram it into 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's just dumb. It's stupid.
Not the way to do it. Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It's just super frustrating because I love this series so much, and I just feel like that. And the whole thing about, like, we talked about it a while ago. Tom Holland came out and said whatever it was that he said, it completely subverted expectations.
Right.
And about
I was just
how
trying to look cool.
He just didn't. Yeah, that's exactly what he was just
cool.
like. I was just trying to look action hero-y. It's like, what? Like, if you've played those games, there's very little about Nathan Drake that's like action hero-y. There's moments, but he's like a smartass. That's his thing. You know what I mean? So people are going to be like, why didn't they just make Indiana Jones? Why didn't they just make National Treasure? That's what those would they are making Indiana Jones and they are making National Treasure, but just don't make, like, they could have used the money on something else. And it's just, ugh. It seems like they're going more in like TV direction though, because obviously we've talked at length about The Last of Us. Twisted Metal is getting a TV series, which is going to be weird because I don't know how that lends itself to anything other than a video game. And Ghost of Tsushima is going to be getting a TV series, which I think that could be really cool as well.
Good, yeah.
But movies aren't it, man. Movies aren't it.
No. Games are too long.
Yeah, they're too long. They need to be made as TV shows. If you are insisting upon adapting these things, then TV shows are the way to go. Amazon buys MGM and all of its properties, including Bond, the Rocky and Creed franchises, as well as the Wizard of Oz. I'm sure there's other ones in there, but those were the big three ones that I saw. So what do you think about Bond potentially being straight to Prime?
I mean, as a Prime member, I'm okay with that because I love the Bond movies. Like,
yeah, but isn't Bond something you want to see on the big screen?
Well, I mean, it'll be on the big screen because they'll still make more money that way. I mean, at the end of the day, and I'll still always, those kind of movies have to be in the big screen just because they're so actiony and so big and so much fun. I mean, I've talked about how much I love the Daniel Craig ones. I mean, it might be one of those things where they maybe play it in theaters for 2 weeks and then push it over the Prime after that or whatever. I mean, we don't know now how movies are going to react because the movie industry is going to be like so different.
Yeah. After
this last year. But I mean, I'm not, just put it in theaters some way with the Bond movies. I mean, the fact that like Rocky, Creed, and Wizard of Oz, I mean, whatever with that. I mean, we should probably be done with the Creed movies. We won't be. I know we're getting more.
Yeah, we're getting another one.
We're getting another one. I know that. And those movies are just going to go on forever. Just some lineage. You know what I mean? It's just going to be the family line. We'll keep going. But Wizard of Oz, I mean, that movie is what it is. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But it's just one of those things like we're not getting another Wizard of Oz because we shouldn't. Mess with that kind of stuff.
Well, we got that weird James Franco movie.
Right. Yeah. And there's this Return to Oz from like the 80s. Yeah, there's this movie called Return to Oz, which is like super gnarly. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the grand scheme of things, we're not getting like a lot of, Wizard. It's not
Wizard
like
of Oz
Bond.
IP.
Yeah. Right. So the Bond thing, just put it in theaters so I can see it. Me personally, no one else. But yeah, just no one else cares. I just that's all I really care about. At the end of the day, it feels just Amazon and Disney will own everything. Probably before we're dead, there'll just be two products, and we're not supposed to have monopolies in the United States, but here we go. This is what's happening.
MGM also has The Hobbit, which I thought that was a Warner thing, but apparently it has MGM has that. What was the other one I just saw? The Addams Family, Red Dawn from back in the day, Amityville Horror. Just scrolling through here, Beauty Shop, a lot of Bond movies. And then a lot of just keeps getting older and older after that. Shaft, in case you wanted to go down that
Nice.
rabbit hole. Thor: Love and Thunder wrapped filming as of today. It is slated to release in February 2022. I keep seeing these release dates, and I'm like, this releases in 2022, and this releases in 2023, and it's like, that's so far. And then I realize it's not. It's
Not that far. Yeah, like that'll be here before we know it. Yeah.
Yeah, for February 11th for Thor: Love and Thunder. So, I mean, inside a year.
That's crazy. And that is like, of all the ones coming up, I mean, I think the Black Widow movie will be really good. But I think this is the one. I mean, Shang-Chi, we think will be good. We don't know. I mean, obviously it looks cool. Sure. But like Thor: Love and Thunder, that's a guaranteed winner. I don't think you even have to think twice about that one. That's a guaranteed winner right there.
Not at all.
Yeah, so that's exciting.
That's going to be great. Yeah, I mean, just to recap, obviously, Thor, Chris Hemsworth returns as Thor. Taika Waititi returns. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name correctly at all. Returns in the director's chair and also as Korg.
Yes.
From Ragnarok. Natalie Portman returns as Jane Foster. Christian Bale as the bad guy, Gore the God Butcher. Should be great. No reason to think it won't.
Just Christian Bale being in the MCU just gets my heart all fluttered.
It's kind of weird. Like I feel like it's kind of weird.
It's weird, but then like everybody just starts gravitating, and like the fact that he's a bad guy is kind of cool. I'm a fan of that. So
yeah, he doesn't usually play a bad guy.
He's never necessarily a good guy either.
I mean, he was Batman.
But Batman is the Dark Knight.
he was Batman.
I know.
Okay.
He was also Patrick Bateman.
Yeah, great guy. Goes beyond good. Great guy.
He returns his videotapes on time.
I'm sure he rewinds them as well.
Yes.
Aaron Taylor Johnson cast as Kraven the Hunter in Sony's extended Spider-Man universe. Yep. That's a thing.
That's the thing. I like Kraven.
Apparently they're gonna. Well, this is where the whole thing of we're gonna connect this to the MCU gets sticky because that was Pietro, the original Quicksilver in Ultron.
Yeah.
So how are they gonna pull that off? Multiverse, man.
It's the multiverse.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Zack Snyder, in the early to mid aughts, pitched Lucasfilm on a Star Wars film that was set after the events of Return of the Jedi, and was turned down, and he is now molding that script into its own space samurai mashup. Can you imagine the amount of slow motion that'll be in that movie?
I may just be slow motion.
The whole thing.
The whole thing, beginning and end in slow motion.
It'll only be one, like, regularly shot 15-minute long scene, but it'll be 2.5 hours long because it'll be in super slow motion. It'll be really dark.
Yes, very dark.
Very, very poorly lit.
Yes, and some dialogue that really is not necessary, but also in slow motion.
Loads of gore.
So much gore.
So much blood.
Count me in.
Speaking of Zach, Army of the Dead is a hit, apparently. Netflix reported Zack Snyder's zombie heist film has been streamed by over 72 million Netflix accounts, including these two. Good for Netflix's 9th best debut. Extraction has the best debut. Another BXG at the movies at home.
Yeah.
Pick. If you had to choose one to watch, which would it be?
If Army of the Dead.
Really?
I would just fast forward through all the dialogue.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm going to be honest. Army of the Dead for the last half hour, and then also when we watched Extraction. But the thing with Extraction, I had already seen it for probably the last 45 minutes. Both of them I watched on 1.25 speed just to get through them.
Sure.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah, Army of the Dead was a pass for both of us.
Yeah.
But
If I had to.
If you had to.
Yeah. I won't.
Right. I'd rather watch Extraction. Apparently they're making a sequel. A Seth Rogen helm CG Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film got its release date according to Nerdist for August 11th, 2023. This is one of those things where I was like, why the hell do I care about a movie that's coming out in 2023? And then I realized that it's
that's just 2 years from now.
2 years away.
I mean, if someone was going to do it, I think this is probably our best bet to get back to the old school Ninja Turtle kind of movie.
Yeah. Because I can tell you who it's not. It's not Michael Bay.
No, it isn't. So now we're moving on. This is the beginning of a very special summer for us. It's the summer of George. And if you're a Seinfeld fan, you know what this is. If you're not a Seinfeld fan, it'd probably be weird if you're listening to this show and you're not a Seinfeld fan, because just I think our normal dialogue kind of constitutes that. But we're gonna bring in my girlfriend for many years. Janey's gonna come in. She's gonna talk about one of the great Seinfeld episodes. If you haven't seen it recently, it's the Chicken Roasters. We're gonna bring her in. It's a great episode.
We don't really have like a format for this, but we said we're going to do the Summer of George. We're going to invite someone on every week to talk about one of their favorite episodes. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the episode that they think is the best. Because in my case, it's not. It's just one of my favorite episodes, not necessarily the one that I think is the best. So I will say, amazing choice for the Chicken Roaster. I just watched it before we started. And I was 5 minutes in and I was laughing, afraid that I was going to wake people up in the house. So we're going to start things off hot with the Chicken Roaster. So again, this is no pun intended, or maybe highly intended. This is the first time I'm meeting JD. So hi.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
So you may need to bring the microphone a little closer, Greg.
Okay.
Put it in the middle.
There we go.
So, the Chicken Roaster. Give us a synopsis, basically, and why you picked this episode.
I chose the Chicken Roaster episode. It's, I think it's my favorite episode of Seinfeld. I don't know if it's the best episode, but it's certainly my favorite. I think it's the funniest. So what happens is a Kenny Rogers Roasters opens up next to Jerry's and Kramer's apartment, and it has unintended consequences for both Jerry and Kramer. And George strikes out with a fur hat, and it leaves unintended consequences for both George and Elaine. And the Kenny Rogers Roasters phenomenon, opening up a chain of chicken restaurants in the mid-90s, that spoke to me on a personal level, because there was a Kenny Rogers Roasters that opened up in my hometown. And the one time that we ate there as a family, I remember being overwhelmed by the choices. I really wanted mac and cheese, but my parents were like, no, you have to get chicken. And I was not happy with that, and we haven't eaten there since. And the chain of restaurants is now completely relegated to the Philippines. There are no more chains in the United States. And R.I.P. Kenny Rogers.
Why do I feel like I've seen one recently? Like there was, maybe it was closed, but in Columbus.
Oh.
I really feel like I did. I was
Could have
actually
been a Boston market.
No, it was definitely not
Same color scheme.
a Boston market. I can tell the difference.
Oh, but there was a Boston market in my hometown too, and
Here you go.
hasn't long since gone, but also that same time period. So, but yeah, so the Kenny Rogers Roasters episode. What I like about it is, I feel like this kind of has like best of moments for minor characters involved. So any episode with Newman is just inherently more funny. I think White Knight is just the right guy at the right moment in the mid-90s. And you get one of his best lines in the entire series when Jerry force feeds him the broccoli.
The broccoli.
And goes, vile weed!
Yes. Great
It's
line.
brilliant.
And I think that this is also because, like, a lot of times there are iconic Seinfeld things that pop up in certain episodes, and you don't necessarily tether them to that episode because they're not maybe the main thing of that episode. And for this one, it would be the Costanza
stanza
line where
Yes.
he says, he does the what's he call it? The leave behind. The leave behind. And he's like a commercial, and he just gets in there, and then by the end, you're singing it, Costanza.
I think too, and like this. So Janey had never watched Seinfeld the whole way through, maybe like an episode here and there, and then we just said we're just gonna sit down, we're gonna go through this, and we're like in season 9 now, and the thing that I would say all the time, and she would have no idea what I was referencing, is like, those are load-bearing walls, Janey. They're not coming down. And it's like, the way Kramer takes that so seriously. It's just like, anytime Jerry says something about like, oh, the shed downstairs, like anytime he says something about like something he has, or like, why don't we just blow apart these, break down these walls? It's just like, the way that Kramer takes Jerry so seriously.
So literally, yes.
So literally, yes. It's just one of my favorite things, and it comes out in this episode so perfect.
I think the other thing that I found to be very funny about this episode when I was just watching it back was as they switched apartments, because Jerry switches to Kramer's apartment to cope with the
red light,
the blinding red light, was how their personalities subtly switched.
Completely.
Yes.
And they didn't like it was very obvious that that's what they were going for, but they never addressed it really. Like within the show, like they make kind of a subtle reference to it when George is talking to Kramer at the coffee shop, but he's like adopted Jerry's mannerisms and just the cadence of the way he speaks and things like that. The eighth, really from like season 7 on through the end, maybe even starting, they're just so insane. Like every episode is just completely off the rails. And I think that this is like I said, we started it off hot. No pun intended, or pun highly intended. And this is, it traps the heat, the sable hat. Traps the heat on your head. I don't even have to wear a coat.
I'm surprised you didn't get the large size.
Yeah, great choice. We appreciate you joining us for the Summer of George to kick things off in the Summer of George. And again, nice meeting you.
It's nice to meet you too.
Jay, do you have any other just final thoughts on this episode? Because I think it is one of those underrated great episodes after I watch it now, like for the probably 190th time.
Well, I think something else that makes it really great is how tightly it's written, how you get sort of callbacks to, certain lines throughout the episode. How, like, oh, you seem stressed. Oh, I'm stressed. Switching back and forth between Jerry and Kramer. And, oh, that's not good for business. That's not good for anyone.
That's not good for anyone. Yeah.
Plus, you get Jay Peterman.
Yeah, Peterman. Are you an assassin? I love that actor. I love him. I think he's one of the. Hurley. Yeah, I think that he's one of the best ancillary characters throughout the entire run of the series, and I'm sure that he'll pop up again in our Summer of George for sure.
Excellent.
Oh yeah.
But at any rate.
Well, thanks, buddy.
So,
of course, my pleasure.
What a great episode.
The Summer of George. We're looking forward to inviting more friends of the program. Friends of the program. If you are a friend of the program and would like to come on to discuss the Summer of George, Instagram at BXG Podcast, at GTFills, at Y2B, Facebook.com/BXG Podcast, BXGpodcast@gmail.com. Please get in touch with us. Let us know. We have spots remaining for people to come on to do Summer of George, to talk about some favorite episodes, to just kind of relive the greatness that is Seinfeld. We move on to quick hitters. There was an interesting interview. I just wanted to call this out over on IGN with Brad Wilson, who's an executive VP at Warner Media, and they were talking about just the first year of HBO Max, and how that's kind of been going, and the challenges that they've seen through the pandemic, and how some of the movies that they thought would do well did much better. Mortal Kombat being one of those, Godzilla vs. Kong being another one. So it was just pretty interesting to read. Like I said, it was over at IGN.
Cruella, starring Emma Stone, debuted on Disney Plus premiere this past weekend. I did not watch it. I mean, I'll probably watch it at some point. I just haven't watched it yet.
I'll watch it when I don't have to pay for it.
Right. That's
actually, I probably won't watch this.
I may watch it. I don't know.
I'm
being nice, I guess. Yeah.
Amy Schumer taking some pot shots at John Krasinski and Emily Blunt's marriage. After saying that The Quiet Place 2 was great, she also said that their marriage was for publicity. And she also called Cruella star Amy Stone toxic.
Emma Stone. You said Amy Stone.
Yeah, Emma Stone. Oh, sorry. I was looking at
just to make sure. That's okay.
Yeah, Emma Stone. Emma Stone.
I mean, the biggest thing is I think that Amy Schumer, who I've never thought was really that funny, was trying to be funny with all these comments. And she didn't come off that way. And people took it very literally. Like, I even took it like kind of like, what are you talking about? Because I like all these people involved with this. And it's just like, she doesn't... I don't... There's certain people that kind of know how to be funny when you're doing something that you don't have an audience. And I'm not necessarily sure she knew what she was doing when the audience is there, but not laughing or getting the joke on it. So I'm going to, even though I'm not a huge fan of her, I just think that I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she was trying to be funny. It just didn't come off funny. But I don't know.
The thing about Amy Schumer is that her popularity took off like a rocket. And you know what they say about rockets. They often crash.
Yeah. I mean...
And she was insanely popular for like a year, and then she just fell off the face of the earth. And you wonder how much of stuff like this is just trying to gain a little bit of relevance.
Right. Yeah, you try to do anything you can. And in her case, I understand why she does things like that, but it's just like, come on. I mean, the thing I guess for me is just like John Krasinski and Emma Blair, like, and Emma Stone are all like people, you never hear a bad word about them, and then something like this happens, just like, okay, that's weird.
I watched one of her stand-ups, and I didn't even make it halfway through. I was like,
I can't even.
None of
She's
this
not
is
funny. She's not funny. I never understood how she became popular to begin with, to be 100% honest, but that's neither here nor there. John Krasinski said he'd be down to play Reed Richards a while after his wife said that she would not be interested in taking on the role of Sue Storm. I mean, when you look at John Krasinski and you look at the comic book, that's a pretty good comparison.
Pretty good 1-to-1.
Yeah, that's a pretty good 1-to-1. And I think that would be almost like the good way to do it. I mean, because he's kind of moving into, like, he's still a funny guy, but, he's doing serious stuff with, his movies he's directing and also just being in the Jack Ryan series. So I can see how that would work. Just make a good Fantastic Four movie. It's not that hard. I don't think it's that hard. The comic books are a lot of fun. Just come on.
Some would say they're fantastic.
You could say that. They also have the best villain. They have the best villain. They screw it up every time.
I just don't think people understand. If you're not a comic book aficionado, you know what I mean? Because we get a lot of questions from Bob Sacamano, who was also referenced in the Roaster episode.
Yes.
We get a lot of questions from Bob Sacamano about, is this really happening in the comics? What's this character like in the comics? Was this environment this in the comics? Is this person in the comics really this cool or powerful or whatever? There is no villain in Marvel that is as cool as Doctor Doom. There's just not. He's just the best. John Mayer announced on Instagram his new album Sob Rock will drop July 16th.
I'm so pumped. And the cover of it looks amazing. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see it. I'm pumped. I mean, if this is just slow dancing on a burning room, just music like that for however many tracks, I'm just pumped for it. He's touring with Dead and Company this fall, so I'm expecting a summer concert next year of John Mayer. I'm already ready. It's going to be great. I said this is my Grease summer. I got Olivia at the beginning. I got John at the end. Boom. Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta, both in Grease. I'm not even a big fan of Grease, but I just had to do that. Olivia Rodrigo. Yeah. No big deal. Scientists, in our science segment of the week, scientists have discovered a sea slug that when its head is severed can regrow its entire body, including its heart. That is insane. So that's awesome. I mean, sea creatures, man, they're just.
When I was in the ocean, I felt something brush up against my leg. It could have been anything. It could have been sand. It could have been a rock. It could have been a seashell. It could have been seaweed. And I fucking hightailed it back to the top of the beach.
Oh, sure.
Done.
Yeah. It's
just Just done.
The ocean is as beautiful as it is terrifying.
Some would say that is true, and those people would be wrong.
It's more beautiful than it is terrifying?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. Nope.
Hey, I wonder how long it takes. It would be cool if I could watch like a video of that creature regrowing
time lapse,
itself.
like a time,
time
lapse.
lapse. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I would imagine that's probably. I don't know if that's like
I'm gonna
on
hunt
deck,
that
but if
down.
you did a little research, you might be able to find
That'd be
that.
rad.
Maybe.
I love it.
Wow. Okay.
That is just cool.
Nah.
How come we can't grow our stuff back? That just seems unfair.
Who says we can't?
I don't know.
Have you
Science.
ever tried? Go cut your hand off. See what happens.
I'm not gonna do that.
Cut your head off
see if I
and see if you
can.
can regrow your entire body, including your heart. No.
It's very hard for me to like. It'd probably be really difficult for me to cut my entire head off one foul swoop. And you know what I mean?
I'm sorry. Did you just say one foul swoop?
Did I? One
Like
fall
foul,
swoop.
like
I
a
didn't.
foul
I didn't mean
ball?
to say that. I said fall. I meant to say fall swoop. It'd be fun if I could do that and like grow my body back, knowing I would do that. But then I don't think it would.
What do you think a foul swoop is like?
It's just off third base, just outside the bag. It's like a little sweeper of a hit, just outside the third baseman's glove. Third baseman's playing to short. He's playing a little more towards short, thinking you're going to hit up the middle. So it goes a little. I don't know why I said that.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's foul, it doesn't matter where the third baseman's playing. He could be playing.
Well,
on
just
the
like
back.
he couldn't catch it. Like you know what I mean? Like it's still in the air. If he catches it, well, it's he's out. But
Me and your recommendations.
so it's just been Olivia Rodrigo on repeat, 100% honest. Love it so much. She's the best. I try to put up something daily of her because if you're not listening to her, which everybody is, she has all 10 of her songs in the top 40. So on the Billboard 200. So she doesn't need my help at all, but I don't care. Still, she's the greatest. Found out that she was.
She's not the greatest.
Well, she's the greatest right now.
She's not.
She's the greatest right now.
Nah, I disagree.
Right now?
Vehemently.
Right now.
Yeah, sure.
This moment.
Yeah.
I mean, she has 10 songs in the top 200. It's pretty good. It's pretty
What's
good.
that mean? That doesn't mean anything.
It means a lot of people are listening to her.
No,
And then
that's
I also.
fair. A lot of people listen to other people that aren't talented. I'm not
She's
saying
talented.
she's not talented. I'm not saying she's
holy
not
smokes.
talented.
I'd be like, because she is.
I'm not saying
I-
she's not talented.
I will say, of all the people I like, she is very high up on the talent rankings. She can sing.
Yeah, that's one aspect of talent.
And she's only 18 and she can sing like she can sing. That's pretty good. I also
don't know.
just started.
I listened back to it. I think I changed my opinion. I mean, there's one or two good songs, but that's about
One
it.
or two good songs. Phew, we're listening to a completely different album.
No, we're listening to the same one. There's no Snyder cut.
And
the
then I
same
also
album.
started a book today that doesn't come out till August because I have the pre-reader. No big deal. Leila Slimani, she's French. It's called In the Country of Others. I guess it's part of a trilogy. I read her first book, The Perfect Nanny, which I thought was just like an absolute, just devastating, like awesome book. If you ever
that
read
sounds like an adult film.
it goes semi in that direction. I mean, it's not fully like she's not like it's not like gray stuff. It's none of that garbage. She's actually like a very talented writer, but things get super
I
weird.
thought you were going to say she's a very talented nanny.
Well, the book is just it's like a thrill. I'm actually surprised most of the time books I read are either not popular or they become popular. Like I read The Perfect Nanny before it was anything, and then it exploded. Obviously nothing to do with me. It was just one of those weird things. But I never expect books that I like to become popular because they're usually too weird. But when I read The Perfect Nanny, I'm like, this should probably be like a Netflix series. I'm surprised it isn't. And maybe it will be down the road. Because it's so perfect. It's just on
Maybe
that
it'll be on
fine balance.
Cinemax.
It wouldn't be that. But it is, it's in the realm of like the Gillian Flynn stuff. And that like, sharp objects.
Scissors. This is a word association game.
No, that's never.
Steak knives.
That's one of her. That's one of the ones.
Rusty nails.
It's,
Shanks. Poorly constructed shivs.
you're just. Yeah,
Am I done yet? Is it,
Gone Girl was the biggest hit.
Like
you
okay,
know
I
Gone
know that
Girl.
girl. Yeah. Gone Girl.
That movie's actually a really good movie.
Are you going to show me Rorschach images next?
I could.
That'd be fun. That'd be a good fun.
But no,
fun segment.
yeah, it's in the realm of like Gillian Flynn kind of style of writing. Yeah.
Is it Jillian or Gillian?
I don't know. I never know how you say that name because I've never met
sure
one. I've never met a Jillian or a Gillian.
With a G?
Yeah. And
I
so
know
don't
Jillian.
You do
Dallas's
know a Jillian?
girlfriend is Jillian.
Oh,
With
okay.
a J. Yeah, with a
With
J.
a J. This is with a G. So I never know.
Her
I
name
need
could be
to-
Yillian.
It could be.
Could be a soft J.
It could be. But this is a G.
Right.
So I don't know. If you're a Jillian or a Gillian with a G, just let us know how you pronounce your name because I'd like to know. For me, personally.
I want to apologize to you
Okay.
because I've just been screwing with you for the last 5 minutes.
I don't care. This is how I live my life.
Right.
Oh my god. Like, what are your media recommendations?
So this is kind of a cop out on my one book a month for the year thing because I didn't finish an actual book. Because my intention was to finish that 2034 book while I was at the beach. I was just going to sit on the beach and read. But the wind was so bad that it was just blowing sand into my face and like whipping the pages all around. So I just couldn't read it. I purchased, as I mentioned during the Bad Batch conversation, I purchased Darth Maul, Son of Dathomir graphic novel. It's a 4-issue run from, I'm not entirely sure where. It's scripted from... I believe it was 6 episodes of the Clone Wars and Rebels that were never made into actual shows.
Okay.
They were just basically just storyboards, and so they took those and they made them into these for this 4-issue comic. So I read them last night. So technically, if you want to count that as a book, I still read and finished a book in May. I mean, I read books all the time to my kids that only take like, you know. My daughter reads like scratch and feel books. They're like 7 pages. So, I mean, you could take it with a grain of salt. I'll try to read 2 in June to make up for it. But so there was that. And then my son's really into Minecraft. And so for his birthday, we got Minecraft. I bought him Minecraft for the PS4. Even though I could get it for PS5, I got it for PS4 because I wanted him to have something to open. And the PS4 is basically his now. But I have 2 controllers and we play together. And it doesn't, like, Minecraft makes no sense to me. But I'm, like, slowly figuring it out. There's, like, no... The problem I have with Minecraft is, like, it's so obtuse in terms of, like, what the objective is. So, survive is the objective.
Well, that's just my life.
It's like, well, what the fuck does that mean? Yeah, exactly. Right?
Survive.
And I don't look like a Lego man. And I don't have to, like, craft all this weird stuff. So there's times where like we'll be playing it together and we'll just literally just be digging a mine shaft just for like 20 minutes, just digging straight into the ground.
I like that.
So, but we're like slowly figuring out. We built a house in the game and that keeps us safe from the creepers and the zombies at night. And then we're working on right now we're working on building a cobblestone fence like wall around our house so that we can continue to work at night and don't have to just sit around and wait for the morning to come. It's funny, like him playing it. He's starting to like understand like the 3D aspect of the world and like how you have to use the right stick to look around and the left stick moves and stuff like that. Because he was having a hard time with that.
Well, it was weird at first. If you're like,
yeah, if you're not used to it. I mean, I know like our Bob Sacamano, like he has trouble with that sometimes. It's like, well, you know, play a game in the last 20 years, man. But I digress. Okay, here. BXG Podcast publishes Fridays at 7 a.m. on Eastern Standard Time, 4 a.m. Pacific, 2 a.m. Hawaiian.
Aloha.
On podcast services around the globe. Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube. Like, oddly enough, even though there was no video last week, the Podbean app will, excuse me, post the video in just audio form with a static image, like automatically now.
Nice.
A lot of people choosing to listen over there, which is kind of strange. But
I just put their speaker on, or maybe they're doing a little cleaning around. They just want to listen.
I guess. I don't know. However you want to choose to consume the content is how you choose to consume the content, as long as you're consuming it. With that being said, I thought this was a good episode.
Yeah.
What do you think? Yeah. I thought last
it was a really good episode. I think
last
we've
week's
been killing
episode
it.
last week's episode wasn't great. I thought it was my worst episode, like me personally, because I just like didn't have the energy.
I also think too, it like, you know, I hate to say this, but we're also just a subject to like what material is out there.
Yeah, sure. That's,
you know, we can make it our own as much as we can, but still, it's, you know.
Yeah.
And this week just happened to have stuff that we could rant about a little bit more.
Right.
Which is always helpful.
Yeah. I didn't really have energy. So that's what I said. I told Bob, I said it might have been Greg's best episode, but I think it was my worst. So it was not my best performance. I think it took a turn for the worse when I asked you if you would have me carve her face off for you, like as a mask, like Dwight Schrute in The Office. That's probably where things went south.
Things get a little weird there.
Yeah, it happens.
I will say, just going on, you know, whatever at this point, is today when I was out on my run, I saw a bus that was giving vaccines. So by the beach.
Yeah.
So if you haven't got it, there's buses with shots on it. This is where we're at
in
society.
California. That's not a thing in Pennsylvania.
In California, but you know, but I'm sure in like, you know, in others, you know, you can get it. There's no excuse.
Right. Sure.
And if you have an excuse, you're wrong. Get your vaccine. Get vaccinated. Get vaccinated, and we'll see you out there. We'll see you. But don't go to Dodger games unless you're vaccinated, people. Okay? Or Disneyland.
Right.
Or anywhere. Stay home if you're not vaccinated. Wear your metal foil hats. Okay?
Tell your friends, tell your families.
Tell your mothers.
About the unmistakable essence of the BXG podcast.
Thanks for listening.
Oh, boy.
Summer of joy.